So the stage is set then, and our first rider coming down the centre line, and I suppose that's really the first test, isn't it? In show jumping, you get the first fence sometimes to get your horse kind of balanced and in a rhythm, but in dressage, coming down that centre line for the first time, you're getting judged as soon as your horse turns, really, aren't you?
It's the first time the judge really takes a look at you, so it's quite a lot of pressure. You want to come in, you want to make an entrance, you want to halt for a 10, and you want to tell them, right, we're here, let's do this. So it's quite a lot of pressure to get that first centre line, especially with a horse that suddenly comes in and then suddenly looks at what's around them. So the centre line is quite important, but then, you know, you've got to come from the centre line, come from the hold, to prepare them here for the extended trot, which isn't always the easiest to get the energy out of the halt again, to start the medium trot, the extended trot, should I say. So then you're going to have the two very steep half passes. Now, for a horse, especially a young horse, these are not the easiest. You can see that you have to have the bend, they've got to be parallel. They've also got to be able to have the balance and really sitting behind to be able to get right across the arena there. And it's really quite difficult, you know. And then once you get to the H marker here, you've got to get them up and ready for C when they've got to halt nice and square right in front of the C judge there. Obviously, the closer you want the horse's shoulder at C, that's when you get the higher mark. So a nice square halt, the shoulder at C, looking straight, looking good, and then you get the higher marks there.
I'm going to learn so much tonight.
Hopefully, hopefully. Then once again, it's the same situation as when you enter. You've got the hold, then you've got to get the energy for the extended trot. And then you can see here, straight from the extended trot into the passage. Now, you know, the passage is such a hard thing for the horse to do. They've got to be, again, to have the collection, the balance, the slowness, and the elevation. So you can see now just coming into the piaffe here. They want about 12 steps in the piaffe, and then the balance to come out again into the passage. The contact has to stay level. The rhythm is very, very important when it comes to judging. They can't lose rhythm, and they've got to stay active behind. And then straight into the walk, where they've got to go into a relaxed extended, making sure they have a good overtrack and not too tense, which is a lot to ask for the horse when you've just come from having them quite energetic from the passage to suddenly having to relax right across the arena in an atmosphere like this. But as you can see, he's doing very well and relaxing.
Relaxed.
Yeah, exactly. So this is very good. And then he's just getting the collective walk now. So the horse knows now that there will be a passage transition coming up. So as a rider, you've really got to try and sit and relax, but at the same time get the horse ready for the passage transition. And sometimes they do anticipate ever so slightly, but here the horse seems good, relaxed. You can see there he just came up in the outline. That's just a little bit of tension, but he's relaxed well going into the passage. The passage could have a little bit more activity behind. You can just see the rhythm isn't perfectly clear, and you could see how that just disrupted going into the piaffe here there. He's just, because he lost the impulsion behind, the horse is coming up a little bit in front and dropping the back. But he's done a very good job to relax the horse down again into the contact. This is much better. You can see how the horse is now taking the contact down into the canter transition. That was very good. And that canter transition is quite difficult because you've got to make sure you get the balance right for the horse to strike off onto the right leg. So now you're going to, as a rider, be getting the collected canter here ready for the twos. So make sure you've got the energy. So we'll just watch the twos. Every second stride there'll be a flying change. There should be 9. So we just had the mistake there, we could see. So he'll probably maybe have about a 5 in markings for that because he had the mistake and missed the last flying change.
How many times have you ridden this test?
Oh, I did my first Grand Prix when I was 19, so I'm now 25, so I've ridden it. I think I even ride it in my dreams.
Yes, I think so.
I know it quite well now. So now we're coming to one of my favourite movements. It's the canter zigzag. I love riding the canter zigzag. It's the time that you have to do the counting, so 6 strides sideways, then into the flying change.
Would this be the same as a counter-canter change of hand?
Pretty much, yes, because if you carried on going sideways, then you'd be on the other rein. So yes, it would be. It's just being the Grand Prix, they like to make it a little bit more tricky. Then we have the one, what do we have? The 1 times, yeah, I was thinking he was going to forget that then. So then you want 15 ones across the diagonal, which so far are going well. Yeah, good. And that's really good to be able to get that, because once you have the horse slow and collected for the half passes, you've then got to get them ready and collected for the 1 times, and sometimes that can be a little bit tricky. Coming into the canter pirouette here. That was good. The horse got a little bit too high and sat just a little bit too much, but the steps were good and he did well.
Yeah.
The flying change was good there. Yeah, you can see how he made that one just a little bit bigger to make it a little bit easier for the horse, so that was good riding out there. That's it, and then we're coming into the extended trot again here. So this is the last extended trot of the test, so it's really important that you push the horse into this to keep the energy, as the horse is probably quite tired now as you're coming towards the end, especially now when you're coming down the centre line. So you're going to ask for the passage here, keep the height in the passage, keeping the leg on. So you can see actually now this passage is one of the better passages he's done within the test. I think the horse knows he's on the home run. You can see he's coming a little bit high there in the piaffe, and the difficulty is when the horse comes a little bit too high in the piaffe, they then sit too much behind, which is then very difficult for them to keep stepping. So then they lose the rhythm. But he did well there to keep the horse forward and coming out. And then you're going to come into the halt here. So it's a shame there the horse stepped back, but apart from that, I think he should be really pleased. Yeah,
I think that was a great start here tonight. I mean, that horse is 16 years old. It's been around, but I mean, in terms of international competition, he's been out on the circuit for just 2 years. So I mean, I think at Grand Prix level, you know, within 2 years internationally is quite good going. Yeah,
really, really good going, really good going. And I mean, he should be very pleased with that test, especially to come in to be the first one as well. It's always quite hard to start a competition, especially of this standard. So he had some real super bits in the test. So yeah, we should see what his mark will be.
What goes through your head once you've halted and you've saluted at the end of the test? Do you start to analyse the movements automatically, or are you thinking, it's over, I can go and get some lunch? What's going through your head?
I mean, I analyse a lot, and I've had to learn not to analyse during my test. As soon as I come out, straight away I'm analysing and asking my trainer and my parents how exactly it went. But I think when you're going through a test of this, difficulty, your main concern is that you're working with your horse and feeling what your horse is doing underneath you, and that's what's important, because you have to feel what the horse is doing just before it does it, so you don't get any mistakes there.
Well, our scores are starting to come in. 63.2 from H, 64 from C, 65.8 from M. 5 judges, of course, sitting around the arena tonight. And once all those scores are sent up electronically, we'll be able to give you that final percentage. So how do they work it out? Do they add the scores together and divide it by 5? Is it that simple?
Pretty much. It's not too difficult, really, how they do it. I mean, all the marks, each movement is marked out of 10. And then, so for example, the piaffe is double marks. So a little bit here, when you look at the scoring coming up now, the piaffe, because it's double marks and he didn't have quite enough steps and the horse became a little bit too high, that's what would have been expensive. Okay, so we're just waiting on Stephen Clark's score coming in, and then we'll be able to give you that update. But kind of looking about mid-60s at the moment. We'll update you with that when it comes in. The rider we can see there, though, is Wendy Williamson with Deja Vu. Now, she's relatively new to dressage as well, but she's evented extensively throughout her life. Then took some time off to have a couple of kids and decided after having kids she probably didn't want to jump again. And here she is. Yeah, no, I can understand that, being a dressage rider myself. What, having kids? Or? No, not jumping high. Well, she's always said that getting over 75% is the key to success, and in fact she did that just a little bit earlier this year in the FEI Pacific League at Manfield Park in fielding and had a great win there. Oh, it'll be exciting to see what her test is like today. Yeah, she's been riding this horse internationally for a couple of years. We've got that final score in as well, so we can confirm 64.940 there for Girona Hannes and Bellagio, our first to go. You can see the scores on the screen there. So not a bad start. Not a bad start, and he would have had quite a lot of high marks on a lot of the movements, but like I said earlier, the piaffe would have been expensive, and when it comes to the Grand Prix, the piaffe is one of the movements that you really want to be able to not have any mistakes and get it right, as it is the double marks, which really does help you during the rest of the test. So as a rider, when you're trotting around the outside, I think it's quite a nerve-wracking time, because you've got to try and keep the horse's concentration, yourself concentrated, not having a look about who's in the crowd and things like that, and waiting for the judge to ring the bell. Because once you come out of the warm-up, you have your horse ready to go in the warm-up, and then you have that time from leaving the warm-up to coming around the outside the arena. And of course, they're an animal. It's very easy for them to suddenly tune off onto something else. So it's really quite difficult to keep them interested.
So when you come into the ring, are you hoping that the bell goes quite quickly?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yes and no, depending on the situation. If you have quite a spooky horse, then you hope that you have a little bit of time to get around the arena.
Yeah.
If you have slight a lazy horse, then you really hope they ring the bell as soon as you enter.
As soon as you get in there. This is a 12-year-old gelding by De Niro. What's the stallions for you that kind of stick out at the moment?
Oh, there's just so many to sort of choose from at the moment. I think, off the top of my head, I can't really think of too many that sort of all the top horses at the moment are sort of are geldings.
Yeah.
But yeah, the stallions are really, there's so many of them, they're really super at the moment. So as she entered, the first halt was really good, really square, and then a really nice extended trot, nice amount of energy. Then she's coming here, so you can see she's coming around the corner, she's putting the bend in for the half pass, making sure the horse is parallel enough. You can see that there's a nice lot of height, a lot of elasticity, which is great, and a very nice changeover. She goes into the left half pass. And then here she'll start to get the horse bending round her inside leg, coming into the halt. So the halt wasn't quite square there. Okay, so it should be 5 strides backwards. There wasn't enough strides, and it wasn't in diagonal pairs, so that'd be a little bit expensive.
Looked a little bit tense there. She asked it to come back.
It was, and you can see that because the horse didn't step back in diagonal pairs, and that's one of the most important things when they ride the rein back that the judge is looking for. There was a good transition into the passage there. Just making sure she keeps the rhythm a little bit behind. That's it. It's getting better the more she's in it, so that was good. You know, with the first piaffe, sometimes you can't add as much pressure on them because you don't want them getting too tense, so sometimes you have to ride it a little bit easier than when you come into the second piaffe. So there, as you watch, the piaffe grew better and better as she kept going.
In the piaffe, what do you think's harder to train, the front end or the back end?
Oh, you're throwing these questions at me tonight, aren't you? I think it depends a little bit on your horse. Each horse finds it easier. They're either very active behind or very active in front. Some are just built just the piaffe, which is then great. But I think sometimes it's being able to keep the energy behind.
Yeah.
Because if you've got the energy behind, they usually stay stepping in front.
Okay.
So the main aim is to keep the hind legs stepping, and then the front legs have to get out the way.
So if you were going out to shop for a horse, would you normally look for a stronger back end or front end?
I would go for a back end, but
You
that's
like a good
depending.
back end.
I like a good bit of engine, but that does depend on the rider. But no, I think if they've got a good hind leg, you can train the front.
Okay.
So the transition into the piaffe was much better, and you can see the energy behind her in the piaffe is better than the first piaffe.
Yep.
That's good, very good coming out, super transition. So then she's preparing here a little bit, having a little bit more collection, thinking about the canter transition we're just about to have. Yeah, very good. So you can see he's a little bit tense in the canter here. So you can just see her wooing a little bit. I don't know if you can see that from here, but just trying to relax him.
I think the judges still penalise for use of ice.
They do, but they are not sat as close to the arena.
Yeah.
So,
and there's music on as well in there.
Exactly, so not sure how much they can hear, but I mean, it's important to talk to the horse, even though we're not technically allowed.
Yeah.
She did a very good job there. You could see the horse was just coming up a little bit too high and just having a look at something. And when that comes to the changes, you've got to be careful they don't become late behind. So as a rider, she did very well. Coming into the extended here. Could have had a little bit more ground cover, but I think because he's a little bit tense out there, she's doing a very good job. Very good change. Then we come down to the zigzag. That's it. Good change there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the judges' box in the way. Oh dear.
They are big judges' boxes, these ones.
They are. They're very impressive. So the zigzag was good. He was a little bit too high, but once again, she did well to ride him through it. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Super. Then coming and preparing for the Canter. So you've got to collect the horse, but at the same time making the horse sure the horse stays in front of you. You don't want them to sit too much because it's very hard for them to turn. So you can see a little bit from the difference from the horse before. The stepping was much clearer and a lot more time was taken. Again here. That's it. So you can see the stepping. There was a lot more time. It wasn't so hurried.
Yeah.
And then for the trot transition, which you would think would be incredibly easy, but when you're on horses that are this hot, it's actually quite a difficult movement to ride.
Looks like she's having to contain it all the time.
Yeah. And I think she's doing a fantastic job out there. You can see now he's a lot more relaxed in the trot. And then you come down for the centre line here, ready for the passage. That's it, the stepping is good. There could be a little bit more height in front, but the rhythm is good, so that's good. Coming into the piaffe here. Very good. That's very good. There was no rhythm mistake going in or out of the piaffe there, so that's very good. Keep the activity coming into the halt, especially because the horses know it's the ending. So the halt there was a little bit quick, but I think she was just grateful to finish the test. So, no, very good.
So at the moment, 64.94 is leading. Higher or lower?
I would say higher.
You're going for higher?
I would say higher. The piaffe was a little bit more, today looked a little bit more established.
Yep.
And the transitions in and out were very good. But then again, I think the Canter looked a little bit tense. So it's just depending on what the judges are looking at, but I think it would be a very good score. Good score.
And I think her rider score should start to be quite good as well, because, I mean, she rode that really well.
She rode that super, and, you know, it will make a big difference as well having a good rider score, which she will do, because of the transitions in and out, and that's really down to the rider feeling the right timing and feeling the rhythm with the horse. She prepared all the movements really well. Very good score.
Well, score's starting to come in, and Stephen Clark really liked it. He gave it a 72.10. Judge H on 64.7. Judge B on 69 and still awaiting the next two scores. 68.4 at C. Looks like you were right.
Oh, good.
It's almost like you've done it before.
Almost, just. But no, she does deserve that score, and I think she'll be very pleased with that.
Yeah, I think she will. Peter Storr will be coming in a second. This is Caroline Tune. Tribbiani about to get underway, and 69.5 is the score that's been confirmed then for Wendy Williamson and Deja Vu.
Yeah, super score.
Really, really good. Well, we head to Singapore next. It's a rider who's competed internationally on 39 occasions. She's also started in one international jumping event as well.
Wow.
There you go. Obviously didn't like it though.
Came back to the dressage.
Got a couple of horses out at the moment. She's got this one called Dr. Doolittle.
No, this one looks lovely.
Yeah, she finished top 10 with this at Hartbury earlier in the year.
Yeah. I think she's only young as well. I think she's only 25, so...
Yeah, she had her 25th birthday about 4 or 5 weeks ago.
Oh. So she's doing very well.
Doing very well. She had a few 71s, 72s with this. She looks young, though.
She does look young. She does look young.
Do you think some of the judges do have a look as you're trotting around the outside? I know they shouldn't mark you on that.
I don't necessarily. They definitely have a look, because they would just look up and have a general look at who's just trotting in.
Yeah.
But I don't think as judges they would be having any marks in their heads at all. Okay. They will be waiting for that centre line. But they will also have a little look at think, oh, the plaits are pretty, or the image looks nice, you know.
Or not.
Or not in some cases, when we just hope it's not us they're talking about. So it's a nice relaxed canter. It's coming down the centre line.
Caroline's based here now, isn't she?
Yes, I think she is. Yes, she is. That was a nice movement coming out of the halt. Setting the horse up here for the extended trot. Making sure that you've got the roundness, the activity behind and the height in front. I think that was a little bit modest. I think she could have asked for a little bit more. But it's still a really nice picture together. See how she comes into the trot half passes here. Very nice crossing. The horse is taking the bridle very nicely. Nice height there in the changeover. Could have just a little bit more activity. Just a little bit too slow, but the crossing is good.
Mm. What do you really look for in the half pass? What's the things the judges will be looking for?
They'll think of the consistency in the outline.
Yeah.
Making sure that the crossing is very good, that the balance is still uphill, and that the horse is bending around the rider's inside leg.
And should it be the quarters that lead or the shoulder?
No. Get out. No, never quarters leading. You always want them to be slightly shoulder leading, and then it allows the horse to have a bigger stride, and then you get the height in front. You see she had a little bit tension there in the last halt, but she did very well to get him back together. Coming into the passage here. Again, she could have a little bit more activity, especially now seeing coming into the piaffe. She needed just a activity. As a rider, you've got to be very technical and a little bit think, how are you going to sort it out? I think a little bit the best way is think a little bit leg yield. If you can think a little bit of leg yield in the piaffe, the horse has to step sideways. Right. So then you can get a little bit of a quicker step. She's doing a good job in the walk here. Just seeing as a little bit tense there in the collective walk. Just seeing the outline and in his mouth. But she's doing a very good job to keep him nice and relaxed. And this is the, the corner where you've got to think, right, I've got to keep my horse relaxed, but at the same time, I have a passage transition, which she pulled off very well. This passage is better. It's got more energy. The contact is more consistent. And then keep going, keep going. You could see that there was slightly more energy coming into the piaffe, which is good. And she's doing very well here. You can see she's riding it, saying, come on, please, more steps. And then because she made it more active in the piaffe, then the transition was out much better. And this now is much better. So she did a very good job there. This, good. Yep, well done. She did a good job in that canter. He was just losing rhythm slightly, so she did a fantastic job to get that transition. So now she's got to come into the two, so you've got to activate the canter a little bit, make the horse listening. She just had one together there. But apart from that, they were all correct. So it'll be interesting to see how the judges mark those. But I think she'll just have a slightly lower mark because the change was together, which was a shame. That's good there. Nice ground cover. Better. The horse is getting better in the contact here. A little bit fussy in the mouth, but it's doing well in the steps. So you can see here how she's collecting, making the horse bend around the inside leg, making him wait before the flying change, over again, wait, and then the flying change. Keeping the canter as uphill as she can. So a little bit there, he was quarters leading just after the flying change, so she did a very good job to quickly pop that shoulder in front again.
Sort it out.
She's riding fantastically out though.
You're counting, aren't you?
50, sorry. That was the pause of the in the mind.
You were counting.
They were all correct and they were 15.
That's really fluid then.
Yeah, they were really, that's what you do as a rider. You have to make sure you're not pausing. But no, they were very well ridden. Then she's coming here. Slightly taking the shoulder to the left, which is a good thing. So she's allowed. Oh, that was expensive. He actually walked there. So he lost the rhythm, lost the stepping. So that will be an expensive mark. But once again, she's done well to get the flying change. And I think this time as a rider, she's definitely not going to let it happen again. That's it. You can see now she's saying more. He's stuck a little bit in it, but it was better than the first one.
A lot better.
Now for this dreaded trot transition. Yeah, and you could see there just how difficult it can be because you're asking the horse to collect and they think, would you like a collected canter?
Sounds so easy.
Oh, yeah, yeah. That's super. That's a very nice image there. Good. As you can see now, she's asking for more energy here in the trot. She wants to make sure she has enough gas to come down this centre line. When the horses know it's the home run, sometimes they get a little bit lazier and thinking they want to stop. So she's doing great just to keep the energy just before he thinks about stopping, especially here now. You can say, come on here, more into the piaffe, so he doesn't think of halting. You can see she's there with the lower leg saying, come on. Oh, just didn't quite catch him quick enough. So he's just over-sitting a little bit there. So what's happening is he's getting a little bit stuck. But she did well to come out of it into a nice height of passage. So that was very well ridden, but you could see just as she came in, he was just slowing down in his rhythm. So then again, you lose the energy, and to get out is a little bit difficult. She should be pleased with that. She rode that very well. A couple of mistakes, but she's still very young, and I think to be able to get through the test like that, she should be really pleased.
It's a tough test.
It's a very tough. I mean, well, it's the top test.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be easy. You know, and when you're out there, all the movements come up quickly, and if the horse isn't exactly as with you as much as they can be, then it makes it a little bit difficult. But I think she did a fantastic job, and there were some really super bits in there.
Well, we're going to have a look at the scores. 69.50 is leading at the moment, with Wendy Williamson and Deja Vu sitting on top. And our first to go, Jerome Hannes and Bellagio currently sitting in second. You can see in the replays that, you know, just coming a little bit above the bit, sometimes a bit tense. What can you do when you're in the ring and that starts to happen? How can you relax the horse and get that frame a little bit lower?
That all depends on the horse itself. They're all very different, but I think the best way is what she did, and you saw her, she opened her hands.
Yeah.
And you could see perfectly there how she made the hands wider, and what that does is make the bit lower in the horse's mouth, so then they have to drop to take the contact.
To take it.
You add a little bit more leg and seat, and then hopefully they then go down into that contact. When you're out there, you can't fiddle too much. They are completely on edge. They are waiting for any signal, so you've got to be very subtle as a rider, but at the same time, I think what she did out there was the correct thing to do.
Well, we'll let you know those scores when they arrive forwards.
Well, next to go,
in fact, they have come in now. It's 65 from E, 65.9 from H, 64 from C, 65.1 from M, and 64.1 from B. So that's 64.8. So we'd head down into third at this stage.
It's back into those double marks again, the same as the first rider with the piaffe.
Yeah.
The Canterburettes are double marks too. And when you have
costly.
It is very costly. When you have a mistake in them, it's very, very expensive.
Well, here's one we know quite well, Lara Butler and Ruben. Travelling reserve, of course, heading out to Rio last year. She's represented her country on numerous occasions.
Recently celebrated her wedding, which was very nice.
Yes.
Yep.
To Billy?
Yes.
Yes. Travels the world. Top 6 with this in Rotterdam. We've seen her over in Wellington in Florida. And that's a circuit during the winter time that's just growing and growing and growing. You ever been over there yet?
Yes.
Oh, you have?
Yes.
Yeah. Sunshine. Sunshine and dressage. What more do you want? How do you think it compares in the US to the UK and Europe?
I think it's very different. It's a very different lifestyle. And the way you have to look after the horses out there and things, it's all very different lifestyles. So I think it's interesting. It's interesting.
And if you could move, would you?
I'm very pale. I'm not one for the sun. I think I would be scorched every day. But the weather, it would be lovely. So you can see here, I mean, I'm quite excited to be able to watch Lara's test, but you can see there the elevation that the horse had in the extended trot. And if you really watch, Lara's fantastic at setting up the movements. So if you really watch how she sets up, you can see there before she even came out of the corner, the horse was already in a half-pass position. So because of that, she already has the height and the elegance here in the half pass. Half part, that's it, then to the other side. That's good there. And then you'll see that she makes sure that he has the bend coming through the corner, so she'll half halt coming through the corner. Preparing the horse for the halt, both legs on, pushing with the seat. That's good. It could be a little bit squarer. You saw he had a little bit of contact there, but she did very good to correct it quickly into a good rein back. Then she's making the trot a little bit higher in front, up in the shoulder here, ready for the extended trot again. You can see how the horse is beautifully uphill, really stepping through the shoulder there. I mean, look at that. That's really lovely to see.
Yeah.
And then because she had the horse in the contact and out through the shoulder, then into a super passage transition. Good transition to the piaffe. She did well there. He's just losing a little bit of rhythm, so she's just saying a little bit quicker with the leg here, saying, come on, keep stepping for me. Then she had the energy to come out.
This is a really nice horse.
Super horse. Really lovely horse. Good energy in the passage there. And then super transition into the extended walk. You can see there how she's relaxing her legs against the horse just so he doesn't get tense thinking something else is going to happen. So she'll just relax her knee and lower leg.
With no disrespect to the first three, this is the first rider we've seen with kind of real top international experience, really.
Yeah, Lara is a really super rider.
Yeah.
And it's really great. You know, I love being able to watch her ride and things, and you learn from them every time that you watch. So
Yeah.
it's really great.
The place I love watching them is the warm-up.
Yeah, I do. Because then you can see how they get the horse through the situation sometimes when it's not going as well. Ready for the passage transition here. Yeah, super transition, super height in front. You can see how she's always pushing the horse into the contact, into the piaffe transition itself, always keeping the horse stepping. It could have a little bit more energy there in the piaffe, but
Yeah.
that's me being picky.
Are you very picky?
I'm a dressage rider. Of course I am.
Yeah. Silly question.
And then you'll see here that she makes sure there that the horse was with her before she asked for the canter transition.
Yeah.
So what's nice to see is the horse has stayed just as uphill in the canter as it was in the trot.
Mm.
Ready for the twos here. 2, 2, 2, 3, 2, 4, 2, 5, 2, 6, 2, 7, 2, 8, 2, 9. Super twos. Really lovely uphill, super ground cover.
Yeah.
And that's what you're really looking for in the two-time changes, that the horse carriage doesn't change, but they're covering as much ground as possible.
And although you're counting, the judges are counting as well, aren't they?
They have to.
Yeah.
Because if they miss a change, they've got to make sure that they put that in the marking. So it's very important that they're counting as well. The extended canters there was really lovely and uphill. Nice crossing here in the zigzag. You can see he's just getting a little bit low there in the contact, but he's staying parallel still with an inside bend, and the changes are still good. Yeah, very good. Now you can see here with the lower leg, she's staying a little bit quicker, so he's ready for the one times. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But that will be expensive. You can see there she just lost the rhythm, and therefore the horse had a trot. But she did super to be able to pick the horse back up straight back into the ones.
Yeah.
Making the horse sit, wait, and then turning. It's very important when you think about riding a canter pirouette that you allow the horse to prepare and sit, otherwise they turn like a motorbike.
Yeah.
So they have to be able to wait, get their body in the position, then you start turning. And you want to think of it like slow-mo, allowing the height. You can see here, it's nice, she's stepping behind, and it needs a little bit more rhythm behind. But it was a good size, and she did well to come out. Good trot transition there.
Yeah, really good.
You can see that she kept the elevation straight away coming out of the canter.
She made the transition. You could see she automatically had that energy.
Yeah, and that's what the real aim is.
Yeah.
To have coming out of that. It's always important when you're riding the Grand Prix that after every movement you have energy. It's a very difficult test to get through if the horse is slightly behind you or not quite off your seat and leg. You end up doing more of the movements than the horse does.
Is it difficult in the Grand Prix test because you're doing things like passage and pied to keep that forward thinking?
But you've got to think that they are forward movements.
They are
and
forward.
You've got to make sure that you don't ask them backwards.
Yeah.
If you ask them backwards, then you're going to have problems. So you've always got to think any transition, any movement's always a forward movement. And then usually you can generally keep the energy with the horse. Oh, stand still. So that's a little bit expensive, the last halt. She came into a super square halt, but then the horse didn't quite stand still. So it's a little bit of a shame, but she should be pleased with that. We saw the mistakes, but at the same time you saw some work there that was really,
really nice,
really nice to watch.
Best we've seen so far?
Yes, I would say it is, but there were mistakes, so you've just got to see what the judges think about it. It will be a close call between Lara and Wendy, I think, possibly.
Yeah, Wendy Williamson of New Zealand, currently on 69.5. First one's in at 70.8.
And I think it's so fantastic that we get to look at the slow-mo. You can just see how much elevation that she had coming out into the passage there.
But the judges will never get to see them.
No.
They won't get to see the close-ups.
They don't get to see that. They have to judge it from where they are.
That's right.
I mean, look at the height there and the knee coming through the shoulder, the roundness as he rolls out through the shoulder into the knee. I mean, that's lovely.
Would you like to take that one home?
Yes.
Don't think Laura would let you.
Please.
Yeah, exactly.
No, she should be pleased.
Some more scores coming in. 67.6, 68.5.
It's going to be close.
68.8. It's going to be very close.
Ooh.
Go on, who are you going for? Wendy or Lara?
I'm going to go for Wendy.
I'm going to go for Wendy. You were right. It's
that was a close one.
69.02 for Lara.
I mean, you can see the potential there that Lara has for having very high 70% with that horse, but today she had mistakes, and to get the 70s, you can't have mistakes.
Without those mistakes, I mean, that would have been sort of low to mid-70s, really, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would have been. It would have been, definitely. Because you've got to think you've got 5 judges out there.
Yeah.
You know, it's a lot of marks to come off when you make a mistake.
And they're all, one of them's going to notice.
They're all going to know. They don't miss a trick.
Of course not.
Sometimes you hope they blinked, but nope.
Jacqueline Win-Ying then standing by with Ferreira.
I know Jackie quite well. I bought my first pony, one of my first ponies off Jackie many years ago. She's a lovely person, lovely rider, so it'll be interesting to see how her test goes today.
She represents Hong Kong, but based here.
Yes, she is based here. She has a beautiful base here. But she does represent Hong Kong, yes.
She's competed in the Asian Games on many occasions.
She's done very well in the Asian Games as well. Very well.
She's got a couple of medals.
Mm-hmm.
I think Asia is really a developing market. I don't know if you've been across there yet. But
no, not regarding the horses, and I think it really is. I mean, when I'm in Germany, we have a lot of Asian clients now coming and looking at horses because they want to aim towards the Asian Games, which I think is absolutely fantastic. It's such an opportunity for them. So I think it's great for them to start with the Asian Games, then coming and competing over here.
Yeah. I was at a show in Beijing a few weeks ago, and they're starting to do more and more and more dressage. They started with jumping, that's kind of up and going now, and now they're moving on to dressage.
Which I'm happy about.
Well, but the difficult thing is, in China, because of their kind of immigration and sort of quarantine, you can take a horse in, but you can't bring it back.
Bring it back. And that's causing to be a little bit difficult, obviously. So you can just see here how the horse is getting just a little bit tense. He's spooked a little bit, which means he's getting a little bit high. So this is going to be a little bit of a difficult ride for Jackie if he doesn't relax a little bit there into the contact. She's doing very well here, keeping the balance. It could be a little bit more parallel, but good coming through the shoulder there. You can see now, because of the half passes, he's starting to relax a little bit more in the neck and the contact, but he has one eye on that judge's box. Yeah. So let's hope she keeps her leg on when she comes into the hold.
They're a bit reflective, these judges' boxes, so I think when they come across, they just see a bit of a reflection.
And I think so too, especially with the light behind. Yeah, you could see there he just came up into the hold where she didn't quite have him enough. So there you can see he's still getting a little bit high, a little bit looky, but she's doing great to get through the movement. And very good with the passage transition there. Good steps. Good transition into the piaffe, even though he's a little bit high, but hoping after the piaffe he's used a little bit of energy and he'll start to relax a little bit into the contact there.
Looks like she's really having to just hold it together.
She's having to work with him a little bit out there. He's a little bit nervous, and that's when it's really important that the rider is there for the horse. They need you there, and once you're there, then they relax. But you can see here in the walk, he looks like he's trying to win a marathon.
Yes, it's power walking.
Yes, that's the one, power walking. So that will be a little bit expensive as well. So we've got to see how well she'll pick him up when it comes to the collective walk. He may be thinking passage already. You can see how she's just taken her leg off there, just to think, oh, and relax.
You might tell me I'm completely wrong, but I think the walk is the hardest pace to train.
It is. It is to a certain point. So when they're at the lower levels, the horses, if they have a good walk, they have a good walk.
Yeah.
The problem with the walk comes when you start teaching them the piaffe and passage. Because you sometimes teach them from the walk, so you teach them to have more energy. So then, of course, they're always anticipating the piaffe. So then the walk becomes a little bit more tense. That's when the walk can become a little bit harder to keep relaxed, especially in an environment like this, which you can see a little bit today.
And once you ruin the walk, it's so hard to fix, isn't it?
It is. We hope that we don't ruin the walk. But yeah, it is. It can be a little bit difficult to fix again. But I mean, there's so many ways that you can sort it out. But it doesn't help when the horse has its natural instinct, which is to put its head up and run when they get nervous, especially in an environment like this. It kind of goes against the thing that we want is slow and collected. The changes are nice and forward. Yeah, she did a super job coming there. As we know, he's spooking a little bit at the lower judges, so the fact that he didn't spook and mess up the twos there, that's super. Blast some energy out of him in the extended canter. That's good. He's starting to relax now into the contact. Keep the canter. Just lost rhythm there slightly coming into the flying change, but she got the flying change, so the mark will still be fine. That's it. She just needs to take a little bit more time in the half pass. It's just a little bit too quick. But I think she's just trying to keep him in front of her leg so he doesn't back off, which is quite a good thing to be doing.
Yeah.
Here comes the ones.
Counting again, aren't you?
I'm going to hold it in this time and I'm going to talk through them. That's it. It's a little bit short. He was a little bit short there in the flying change, lost his rhythm, so then he lost the rhythm to carry on, which is slightly what's happening here. So that will be very expensive. But it can happen out there.
Yeah. It
doesn't matter how many times you do it in the warm-up, circumstances can change when you're in the arena.
The easiest place to ride a Grand Prix is up here. Definitely.
Definitely. I've definitely find it very easy to ride it here. Then she's got to make sure she keeps him nice and round here coming into this pirouette so he doesn't back off coming towards the judge's box. I don't think she's having the easiest ride out there, but she's doing a very good job to get him through the test in a nice way and nice and calm way. She's just guiding him through, which I think is very important. When you have a horse that's a little bit nervous in a situation like this, you just have to try and get them through it nice and calmly, because that's what they remember.
Yeah.
You want the experience to be a good experience, so there's no point chasing them and getting after them, because otherwise they're never going to relax in situations like this.
You're always working on tomorrow.
Exactly. So because he's spooking a little bit at the judge's box there, you can see he's got nice height in the front legs. Now, if she keeps his energy, the piaffe should be very good, which is better. That's the best piaffe she's had. You can see that he's keeping the steps, and you've got the diagonal pairs there. A little bit swingy, but she did very good to keep the steps, and the transition into the passage was very good coming out. Now let's hope she keeps her legs on for this hold. Yeah. Good hold. She rode that super.
Yeah, I think she'll be quite happy with that.
She should be really happy with that. Yes, okay, he was a little bit tense. Yes, we could say that, but at the same time, the movements were still very good.
Yeah, they were.
So, she's got to think whatever the score is, if she can just have him a little bit relaxed the next time, then it's looking like it could be really super.
Once you finish your test, do you have to go right out? I mean, could you walk round again?
No, you do have to leave.
You're right.
You do have to get out now. Next one's coming in.
Okay. No hanging around.
No.
Well, quick reminder of the top score. That's Wendy Williamson from New Zealand, 69.5. Lara Butler just behind her on 69.06. And Jeroen Hannes certainly sitting in third place for Belgium. So New Zealand in front, Great Britain in second, and Belgium sitting in third place. Scores about to come in for Jacqueline.
You can just, you saw that mistake there a little bit, and you can just see how well she dealt with the situation. She didn't fluster, she just carried on and kept asking for the flying and change until it happened, which was the correct thing to do in that situation.
Well, the man in the background is someone you might know.
Yes, I do train with Richard Davison, but currently I'm in Germany, so when I come back from Germany, I'll train with Richard again. So it's always very inspiring to get to see your trainer out there doing it.
Do you think he's enjoying the break?
From me? How rude. No, I think he's having withdrawal symptoms. Thank you very much.
Probably.
But no, it's great. I haven't seen Richard and Bubbly in a while, and I'm very excited to see how he's come on in this test.
And this is a great horse. I know he thinks so much of this horse, doesn't he?
I mean, I've watched Richard and Bubbly train at home at theirs, and I mean, the horse is incredibly talented and really is something special. And he's a pleasure to watch.
Just give you those quick scores in for Jacqueline and Ferreira, who we just saw the total score, 61.34. The 62.2 from E, 63.6 from H, 58.3 from C, a 64 from M, and a 58.6 from B. So 61.34 into 5th place.
So when you watch, I always am fascinated watching Richard ride a test. As you go around the arena, you can see how he's making sure the horse is completely with him. He's always working with the horse, making sure the horse is supple and relaxed. And I think that's great. It's always a lot to learn when you watch Richard ride a test. He's such a fantastic horseman. And I think it's great to be able to watch him, especially from up here as well.
It's a masterclass.
It is, exactly. So, you know, for all of you here that are watching, really watch how he prepares the horse and relaxes the horse coming around the arena. Bubbly's a really hot horse, you know, he does get a little bit nervous in situations like this, so you can see how Richard is completely focused on him, collecting him, then pushing him forward, making sure the horse is completely off his aid.
And he loves hot horses. He loves a horse with a good engine. He's a bit like you, really.
Yeah, Richard's not one that enjoys kicking, so he likes them a little bit hotter. Nice relaxed canter coming in. From here, that looks like a good square halt. And then you can see how beautifully Bubbly stayed uphill coming out of the halt there. You can see that he's always pushing forward with his hands, always seat to hand, allowing the horse to go forward, keeping that forward energy that we spoke about earlier. Really lovely impulsion coming into the extended there. Bringing him back here, pushing him again with the hand, say keep going forward, thinking forward. As you watch him come through the corner here, making sure the horse is bending there before he even left the track. And it's really important that you have that, because it's a little bit too late if you don't have the bend when you've left the track. You can't sort it out within the half pass. Same again here, he's got the bend and then he leaves. Good, super crossing, super height there in front. Super square halt. 4, 5 steps back. It's great to see Bubbly looking so relaxed out there.
On Richard's saddle, you can see his knee roll. It's really almost a thigh roll. I've never seen that before. Is this a newer type of saddle, or just something he likes?
It's something he likes. Every rider prefers different saddles. I'm actually quite a fan of a large knee roll myself.
Are you?
Well, I'm not very tall, so I am. The larger knee roll does help a little bit, but I think it's just different. Some riders like their legs to move a little bit more. Other riders like to have their legs a little bit more closed in. So you can see there that Bubbly got a little bit too high and sat a little bit too much in the piaffe, and Richard's first reaction was to allow the rein forward, which creates the space for the horse to step into it. So that was super. Now you can see how far away his legs have come a little bit here coming into the walk. Especially when you're on horses that are really hot, like we were saying earlier, the walk is very difficult. they're so ready for the next movement, and you've always got to have them on the aid waiting for the piaffe and the passage. So when you come into the walk, you've got to make sure that you've got the relax with them, but at the same time, when you put your leg on, they're there and ready to go. I think the worst bit for a rider actually is the collective walk here. I think we all dread this. Once we get into the passage, it's all very exciting from then on.
Do you have movements during the test you're thinking, God, it's almost here, it's almost here?
Oh, my flying changes. If the Grand Prix didn't have the 1 times, it would be a very happy time.
How often does the Grand Prix test change?
Well, this one hasn't changed for a very long time. So I don't know when they'll change it next.
Is that to give an even playing field around the world? It doesn't matter where you're...
I just think, you can see, sorry, I'm just going to interrupt you there and talk about
course.
that. You can just see how he got a little bit excited in the mouth there, just again here, which is not a problem. Is it going to be a little bit expensive from the judging point of view, but the fact that Rich is dealing with it very quietly and allowing Bubbly to relax into the piaffe, he's thinking of a bigger future here for the horse.
Sure.
And giving the horse just a great ride there. And I think regarding what you were saying about, is it to keep, a level playing field? I think it's the same as any sport. If it's a 100-meter sprint, it's always a 100-meter sprint.
Sure.
And I think the Grand Prix is the Grand Prix. Maybe it will evolve. The marks and the horses are becoming far more talented now, and the marks are becoming a lot higher, so they may have to evolve the Grand Prix to get harder. But I think at the moment it will probably stay how it is.
The difficulty with this, though, is the horses start to, preempt the next movement, but I suppose that's all part of the test,
You
really.
kind of want that to happen. If they're thinking about the next movement, it's actually quite a positive thing because they're waiting for it and they're ready to go. Those 2 times from Richard were really super there. Really nice change, relaxing there. And you can just see now how Bubbly's relaxing into the contact again now, which is great. Coming to the zigzag. Now I love watching Richard ride a zigzag. He's so precise with how he rides it, yet it's so relaxed, allowing the horse to step sideways, steady for the change, and then over again. You can see how much more relaxed and how much time he has to ride it.
Sure.
And here comes the 1 times. I think Richard will be feeling slightly how I do when it comes to the 1 times. Now fingers crossed. Yeah, no mistakes, super. Rich will be very pleased just with the 1s alone.
Did you count again?
I did, yeah. Did you hear the pause?
I did, yeah, I did. I could hear you
holding
counting.
breath. Now this horse has such ability to sit here. You can see now how well he can sit there on that right hind, stepping around. Yeah. Keep the canter there. Nice change, and then coming again here. So you can see that he's collecting the canter. Same as the half pass. You get the bend in there first, and then you ask for the horse to turn. Yeah, they were super.
Yeah.
And then we all start wooing for the trot transition. Good there. It could have been a little bit clearer, a little bit more elevation coming out of it, but there was no real mistake. This is love. I mean, wow.
Yeah. And it's not, I know everyone's eyes are constantly on the sort of front legs. It's where your eyes get drawn, but the horse's hocks are so powerful as well.
And that's what's so exciting about a horse this talented. There's a lot of horses that can move in front, which is fantastic, but if they don't have the hind leg to back it up, then it's too hard to ride the piaffe passage itself. So you have to really have a balance of both of it, which Rich is very lucky enough to have.
Yeah. Where did he find this horse, do you know?
I actually think, don't quote me on this, but I think he went into a field, picked 3 horses, and this happened to be one of them.
Oh, really?
I think was the story with Bubbly.
Well, it's just between you, me, and
everybody else.
Yeah.
If not, it was an exciting story.
Okay. What happened to the other 2?
I think they've still got them and training them,
okay.
but Bubbly, I think, is a
it's
superstar.
rising to the top.
Yeah, and he's over the moon. That was absolutely fantastic. One very proud student over here.
Will we see that horse in Tokyo?
I really hope so.
So does he.
Yeah, that was absolutely, wow.
Well, 69.50. That's what he's got to beat at this stage in the competition. And in fact, after Richard, the judges take a little break. And then we've got some big names still to come. Daniel Watson and Carl Hester and Hayley Watson-Greaves for Great Britain. Gareth Hughes in there as well, still to come.
This is super here. This is Richard's little signature move. You can see there he just took a sweetie out of his pocket. So the moment that he leaves just comes out of the arena, he gives the horse a sweet. So the last thing the horse remembers is having a
Something
nice, tasty
nice.
treat. Yeah. Yeah, you can see that. Oh, we can see now just looking out at the arena how he gave the horse a treat there. He's very good with playing with the crowd.
Yeah, he does.
And he knows that they would like it.
Yeah, he likes them. So, 69.5 to beat. What do you think? It's got to be higher.
Oh, he's got it. He's got it.
Gotta be.
Definitely. Okay, what are you thinking?
Mark-wise, I'm going for 73.
Oh, are you? Okay.
What do you think?
Remember that you've got to think of the piaffe a little bit of the
Oh,
contact.
yeah, I forgot about it. Oh,
yeah. Okay, I might go for 72.
Okay.
And we'll see.
We'll wait and see for those final scores. But it's not over, because, Carl Hester, that Barolo horse, that's really, really nice.
Yeah.
You'd take that one home as well, wouldn't you?
I would actually take them all home.
Okay.
I would take them all home. But I mean, Carl's another one that you watch and you're in awe when he's going through the test. So that would be another exciting one to see later.
Well, we're waiting for that final score. The judges get an opportunity now to have a quick break, because it must be difficult. I mean, they have to be so focused and concentrating literally all the way through the tests.
They have to look at every single detail constantly. So it really is full on. It's like taking an exam every time somebody comes in, because you're always watching, focusing, because if you miss something, that will come back later.
Well, the scores are coming in then. We've got 70.4. I think you're going to be closer than me. We've got 70.4 from E. We've got 70.1 from H. 66.7 from C. That was Isabelle Josette.
Right, Isabelle.
France.
We'll go and talk to her later.
Yeah, exactly. Where was she looking?
I don't know.
69.5 from M. And just awaiting the score in from B. So it's actually going to be quite close at the top.
It's going to be very close, actually. I was hoping Richard would have a higher mark, but at the same time, like I said earlier, the piaffe, once again, is expensive. And it's one of the biggest movements in the Grand Prix, but one of the ones that's the easiest to have a mistake in. So everything else was really quite super, but the piaffe is going to be expensive.
Yeah.
So let's hope he's done it. I think he's done it.
You still think he's done it?
I think he's done it. Positive thinking.
Enough to win it?
Oh, well, that's a question, isn't it? Let's wait and answer that
You're
at
going
the
to
end.
wait. You're going to be a politician. Okay, that's fine.
How are we going to find out?
Well, I'm sure that next score will be in just a second. And it is. It's a 69 from B. So 69.14. He's not. He's into second place.
Nearly. But what is exciting is that you look at that horse and you just think there's a future. And that's very exciting. And that is why Richard does places like this. So the horse learns the environment. And the fact that the only real thing was the piaffe, well, that's no real problem. So
that must be quite tough as well, to create an environment for training and at home. You just can't create it, can you, with the atmosphere?
You can't really. You can't create the atmosphere that the crowd naturally brings along with them. So it is quite difficult, and that's why it's fantastic to be able to have shows like this where we can bring the horses here to actually experience it. Because when you go abroad, the shows are really big. There's huge atmosphere, and especially in Europe, the crowd love it.
Yeah,
so they're so enthusiastic. So the horses also have to deal a little bit with that. So it is very hard on the horses. So shows like this is fantastic for them.
Well, you see the scores at the moment. Wendy Williamson sitting up at the top for New Zealand, 69.5. Richard Davison for Great Britain in second, and Lara Butler currently sitting in third once again for Great Britain. Just on that point we were talking about as well, I remember going to a venue up in Scotland and they had a sort of coffee bar that they couldn't use when dressage was on because the riders complained about the noise. But really, when you're training young horses up through the grades, I mean, that should be one of the things you almost want, so you can teach them to concentrate when they're in the ring.
Yes, I mean, I think you've got to think a little bit of the safety point. If you're on something that's quite hot, then maybe not too much noise. But from a rider's point of view, I would like my horse to see everything.
Yeah, as much as possible.
Once they see it, once they get used to it, then you don't have to worry when you're in the arena. And then you can really enjoy and work on the test when you're out there. So I think the more the young horses can see, the better it is.
And a lot of people that will be listening, they're not riding at Grand Prix level, so thinking about the lower levels, what tips have you got for prelim and novice, or things like riding circles or an introduction to reinback?
I think the most important thing is that you don't panic about trying to get to the higher levels quicker.
Yep.
I think doing sort of the prelim, the novices and the elementaries is a really important time for the horse and for the horse's career. So, really take your time when you're teaching the horse. It's fantastic to be able to use all the circles and the reinbacks like that anyway to teach the horse and to allow the horse to become more supple. But when you're teaching the horse reinbacks, start very basic, start in hand first.
Okay.
Have polos in your pocket, ask the horse to go backwards and give them a polo, because they associate the same thing. And then gradually start with you on top.
Okay.
And things like that, you can have somebody stood in front of the horse whilst you're on the horse, you put your legs back to ask for the rein back, and that person can walk backwards with them and then give them the polo, so then they associate it step by step. So I think when you're doing the prelims and all the novice and elementary, which I think is such a fantastic level to do, and there's a lot of things for you guys to be able to do now, which is brilliant. And I think every opportunity you have and every competition that you can go to, do it. Don't worry about what people think or you're not quite good enough, because unless you do it, you're not going to be. So it's really important that I think you get out there and experience it, and most importantly have fun. If you're having fun and enjoying it, your horse is going to learn a lot quicker. That's
very true, and probably getting a good trainer as well. I know we were talking about America, and it's so different over there because you kind of base yourself with your trainer, even at the lower levels, even if you're not a professional, and that trainer will actually go to every single show with you. But I think here in the UK at the lower levels, some people will go for a lesson once a week or maybe once every 2 weeks, and they just go to the show on their own. What do you think is a good balance there?
I think it's very good to have a trainer. I think it's always really good to A, have the support, and B, to have somebody watching you from the floor. But at the same time, being based with somebody, that is incredibly full on. So I think that going for a lesson once a week or once every week is a really good thing to do, but make notes. Don't just go to a lesson, come away and think, oh, I've learnt something, because you've got to keep working on it. So when I go for a lesson, I make sure someone videos for me. It's really important somebody videos for me so then I can watch it back. But also I always write down notes, make notes. So I can look and rethink about what the trainer said. And then, because it's difficult financially as well. I understand that a lot can't go out there and be based and have lessons 5 times a week. It's too difficult. So I think you make the most out of the situation. And if you have somebody videoing it, you can technically have a lesson every time you watch the video. And if you have your notes, then you're able to do that yourself and constantly recap. And I think that's a really good way. That's how I learned.
Okay. And when you're having lessons, do you start by asking what you want to work on, or does your trainer just know what you should be working on?
I think it depends how well you know your trainer and what you want to do as a rider. I think depending on what I want to do, if I'm going to a competition, then I'll most certainly ask my trainer to work on my test and on the competition. But if I'm not and just going for training, I think what I like is that the trainer will watch me warm up and then come in and decide what they think needs changing. Sometimes if you go in and say, oh, I want to do this, what happens is that you kind of miss something else that could have been worked on. So I think if you have a good trainer, allow them, give them time to watch you. I mean, I do quite a lot of training myself, and to be able to just sit and watch them warm up and have a real look and scrutinize a little bit on what needs working on, then you can really work well as a team.
And when you're working at home on your own, how often do you ride the movements?
Well, the movements become my warm-up.
Okay.
So I won't ever just warm a horse up and think, oh, I must ride a half pass. I use the half pass to supple my horse. And that's what's so fantastic. The more movements you learn, the quicker it is to supple your horse.
And I suppose even when you're hacking out, you can still do a little half
a leg
pass
yield across
or a leg
the
yield
road.
across the road.
Yep. Half the time you need to, because you'll die when the pigeon flies out. So it's quite exciting when you have a leg yield. But I mean, I think, the most important thing to me, and this isn't the question you asked, but I'd like to really say it to everybody, is that the most important thing is that the warm-up you have at home is the same warm-up you take to a competition. Don't just change it because you're at a competition. Because you're in a new venue, your horse is in a new place, you're nervous because you're doing a test, your horse is nervous because you're riding differently, and then all of a sudden you throw a new warm-up at them. And I think horses learn from repetition. So give them something they're comfortable with. So whatever you do at home, which you slightly change, the higher level you go up, but take that to the competition. Just because you're doing a competition, it doesn't make any difference. So do something you're comfortable with that gives you more confidence, but also gives your horse confidence. And then you have a really good shot of having a nice, relaxed test.
Well, I think we should maybe take a little short break, and we're going to be right back, though, because we've got some big names. We've got Hayley Watson-Greaves, Carl Hester, Daniel Watson, Gareth Hughes, and a few others in there as well. Will they get better than 69.5? Stay with us, and we'll be right back in a few minutes' time. Well, while we take a very short break, of course, the riders down there in the warm-up are already underway with getting ready to come forward into this Grand Prix test tonight. We saw Richard Davison come in as one of our last to go there, and we have Charlotte down there to catch up with him in our warm-up.
Thank you, Adam, very much. Yeah, here with Richard Davison. You must be thrilled with that test. I know you said he can be quite a tense horse, but he looked like he really tried for you out there.
Yes, he did try. I'm very pleased with the horse, and this is, like I said, everything is a building stage, step by step. And by and large, I was very happy with his confidence, but he did lose his confidence in 2 or 3 places, and unfortunately in the Piaffe, which is his really strong point, so that was a bit of a shame. I don't know whether he got a bit fixated on something in the grandstand, but for a scared horse, it's a big challenge under the lights and, as I said, with the screen. So I think by the time we got to the canter work, he was with me, and I was pretty pleased with all the canter work. So
he's a spectacular looking horse, isn't he? I mean, he can see the power. It's amazing. And once once he's got that confidence there, I think really there's going to be big things for him, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, you talk about the power. My foot isn't even on the accelerator pedal now yet, because you can see how much movement, power, and immediate response. He's a Ferrari, but that isn't good for his mind at the moment. So I'm not even going there, because until he goes to this sort of atmosphere and gets a base level of confidence, then that to tap into that power is not the right thing to do. So that's coming later.
Yeah, and you could see there was a couple of times he was a little bit sort of fussy in his mouth. Was that when he gets stressed?
That was when he was looking at something, yes,
Right,
and then he lifts his head up and looks up in the grandstand. So, and unfortunately, that was both times in the Piaffe, which, as I said, he has got a spectacular Piaffe and can do that in his sleep actually. But it is actually in the slower things that the horses actually look and suddenly see somebody walking across or whatever they pick up in their eye. You never know what they see, but that's not normally a problem. I'm not bothered about that. That's a reflection really of his mind, and that's my job to spend the next 18 months giving him a nice experience. I'm not in a hurry for him. I think he's a great horse, and my job is to go at his pace, not at my pace. What I want to do doesn't matter, but it must be dictated by him.
Well, very imminently, you've got the tomorrow freestyle to music. How do you think he's going to cope with that?
Well, I'll be doing the same thing. Basically, I'm training the horse in the ring, so I'm not out to be competitive. And with the added music element and noise, I will be just feeling my way around very gently and trying to give him a nice experience. How do I think? I think he's going to get a little bit more scared, but we've got, the whole thing is with improving horses, you don't know. You have to sort of feel your way and actually ride with what you've got,
Yeah. Well, it's lovely to see the amazing partnership, and we really look forward to watching in the future. So good luck for tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. So I think we've got Carl Hester warming up, hopefully, over here. We're just going to go and have a look. He is warming up. I'm going to hand you over to Adam. Adam, if Adam and Bobby, it'd be lovely to, you can talk us through what Carl is up to in the warm-up. Over to Adam.
Well, out in the warm-up, Carl Hester is getting his horse ready to come forward for this Grand Prix. It looked like he was just kind of riding a little pirouette, and I think that's actually not Carl Hester.
That's Dan. That's Dan Watson.
Yeah.
I'll save you a little bit here. It's okay.
I'll save myself a little bit. Carl's up the top.
Yeah, Carl's on the chestnut, the orange horse.
Yeah.
So I think you can see there that Carl just had his bandages taken off, so he's preparing the horse to get ready to come into the arena soon. It's quite an interesting time when you take the horse's bandages off, because then they know something's going to happen. So you've got to take the time after that to get them back into your race, taking their time and getting them back tuned with you.
Well, as they make their final preparations, we get underway with Hayley Watson-Greaves and Rubens Knight, the stay-at-home reserve for the Rio Olympics. And we saw her out in Doha as well. She did well out there and finished top 10. And she's got a mascot that's a carrot that sits in her groom's bag. And she did tell me what the name of it was, but I cannot remember.
We'll have to find that out later.
Yeah,
we'll find it out.
It's important.
So Reuben Knight is a very also quite spooky horse, a little bit the same as Bubbly. So sometimes he can give Hayley a little bit of a difficult ride, but they have such a fantastic partnership now. She knows every part of him, so she does a fantastic job. Whatever he throws at her, she'll always get him through a test. And she always enters with a lovely smile. I don't think
Yes.
I ever see Hayler not smiling when she's doing her test.
Do you ever smile as you're coming down the centre line?
I have to sadly admit I have a very odd concentration face.
Oh, really?
I forget to smile. It's more like the concentration on what I'm doing. So the one thing about this horse is he has fantastic elevation in the trot, but you can see that how hot and spooky he is all the time. So, I mean, his extended trots, I must say, are his masterpiece.
Yeah.
He is very, very good at them. I mean, that's just, imagine sitting on that.
I think in the freestyle tomorrow we might see
A lot of
that.
them. I think a
Yes.
lot of them with a lot of powerful music following
Yeah.
them. And because he's got such fantastic height in the extended trot, it also means he'll have fantastic height within the half passes here. I mean, look at the cross there. Look at the height in the shoulder and the balance. He's very good at sitting, bending the hocks and becoming up in front, which means then things like this are incredibly easy for him. There again, you can see he's slightly spooking, and you can see how Hayler's just saying, hey, come here, keep listening to me a little bit here. And when they're a little bit spooky, this halt can always be a little bit difficult. It gives them the opportunity to come up and look
And
up.
sort of hollow a little bit.
Yeah. And once they hollow, it's a little bit difficult to pick their back up again. Yep, she did well there. Then we get to see another one of his beautiful extended trots. And I think Hayler does very well. I mean, he has such a fantastic extended trot here. I mean, that, you know, that's really super to then suddenly come into a passage. It's a lot of energy to suddenly get into something that's supposed to be quite slow and relaxed. But you can see there she had no problem doing that. Now and then he double beats a little bit behind, and that's just because he loses his rhythm and he has so much power. Just a little bit losing the quickness in front here. So as we were saying earlier, we were saying if they're quicker behind or in front.
Yeah.
He's always quicker behind, and sometimes he is in front. That was a good transition there in the extended walk. But I think Hayler trains with Carl at the moment, and since then, the piaffe and the passage with this horse has come on really, really well.
It's also very shiny.
Very shiny. Nice comment there. Nice tail. Very nice tail. Yeah. You can just see that he's a little bit sort of tense in the contact, but the steps were good. She's just using her right leg a little bit there, just a little bit quicker, just to get him up and ready for that passage transition. Just there, a little bit quicker, saying, come on, just so he gets a little bit more energy. And you can see the rhythm was very good going into that. The passage is better behind there. And you can see that piaffe is better. It's a little bit backwards, so you can see he's coming a little bit high, and the impulsion is a little bit backwards thinking instead of forward thinking. So the strides behind became a little bit tight, a little bit close behind. But she did a very good job to get him out of it, because sometimes when they sit that much, to try and get them out is not always the easiest.
It's not easy.
No. But with a horse like this that has so much activity behind, those things are going to happen. So she knows now what to do in those situations.
Sure.
Nice contact there, nice uphill changes. They're looking very straight from here. Yeah, very super change. You can see the smile on her face, how happy she was with those.
Always. Nice on the extension as well.
Yeah, nice. A little bit more ground cover behind. He was a little bit close behind there, but it was still very good. That's good. She have a little bit more bend there in the half pass itself. Yeah, she just lost the rhythm there, so she had a seventh stride. So that would be a little bit expensive. That's it. But then again, you saw there she patted the horse. She doesn't want him to worry about it. It doesn't matter. These things happen.
We're going to see if you can talk and count for the next one.
I don't think I can, you know. I even tried then. I think it's impossible.
I keep getting told that girls can multitask.
Yeah, not when it comes to one-time changes.
Oh, okay. That's the only rule.
Good, he's sitting well there. A little bit stuck on the last stride to come out of the canter pirouette, but the rest of it was very nice. You can see she's putting the bend here, making the shoulder go slightly to the left as she brings him round. Yeah, so he just lost a rhythm a little bit in both canter pirouettes, so it'll be interesting to see what mark she gets on those. Good transition into the trot. Finishing the test on a super extended. I mean, that's, I think, the best one she's done in the test yet.
Even that last pirouette, the kind of scores that we can see as they come in were about 70 for that, that pirouette.
Yeah, I mean, they won't drop down too much for the canter pirouettes because the stepping and the size was still really good. Yeah, super transition to the piaffe there. Very good steps, really good energy, and super energy coming out. Nice high steps here coming into the halt.
She's got to be happy with
that.
Oh,
she'll be ecstatic with that.
Yeah, what do you think? That's going to be mid-70s.
I think that's going to go definitely into the lead.
I like what you did there. So higher than 69.5 is what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Such a good politician.
Just being careful. But I think the fantastic thing about this horse is the amount of energy that it has.
Yeah.
And the willingness. You can see when he's out there how happy he is to be doing the work for Hayler. And that just really shows how much of a partnership they have, which is really fantastic to see.
Really nice steps. And we talked about rhythm quite a lot with that one. For anyone that's heard rhythm a lot, but has always thought, actually, what does it mean?
It basically just means that if you think of counting 1, 2, 3, 4, it's the same as if they're doing the steps. You want to be able to count the steps in the piaffe, but sometimes they can have a double beat. So where both hind legs go down at the same time, so then you've lost rhythm. So it'd be a 1-1 instead of a 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's how a little bit you just think of the rhythm, that you want to be able to see each footfall go down separately. Never two footfall going down at the same time as a double beat.
Well, the score is starting to come in. From E, it was a 72.8. From H, it was a 69.7. From C, we're still waiting, but from B, it was a 70. 72 just in from C, so just waiting for that final score, but I think you're going to be right. It'd have to be pretty bad from M not to go into the lead.
Yeah, she's definitely in the lead, and, you know, she definitely deserved it. That test was really super to watch.
Well, the scores are confirmed, 70.90, so up into the lead there for Hayler Watson-Greaves. You can see them on screen now, and that is our new leading score.
Yeah, she'll be absolutely ecstatic with that, and that she deserves every mark she got there.
Well, from one nice horse to another, this is Barallo, Carl Hester. I saw Carl over in Omaha for the World Cup finals a few weeks ago. He hosted the draw party with me, and he was an absolute hoot.
He is absolutely great fun, and what's so lovely is that he's so well known by everybody, but he's so lovely as a person.
It amazed both of us. We did the draw party, and what basically happens is we end up picking balls out of goldfish bowls. We both thought in this day and age, surely there's like an electronic system.
I know, it's a little bit old-fashioned, isn't it?
But we had to pick a ball out with a number and then a ball out with the rider's name.
Was it fun though?
It was
an enjoyable
fun.
night?
He made it fun. Yeah, it was.
It sounded like a great story.
From what I remember, it was a very good night.
You can see now utter silence through the crowd
as
Carl turns up. And this is such a beautiful horse. You know, it might not have such the exuberant movement as what Hayler's horse does, but Carl will never ever throw a mark away.
No.
Never. And, you know, that's what really pulls in the mark as well. So when he's on something that maybe isn't necessarily the massive mover, he still gets top marks.
Still gets them. Did you manage to watch his test from Omaha?
No, I didn't.
Oh, it was really good.
Yes, very jealous. I'm catching up now on it. So you can see how he takes his time as he goes overside. He's allowing the horse to come through, stepping through the body. A little bit there, quarters leading, but within a stride, Carl had it going.
Yeah.
Shoulders leading again. He's got such a beautifully relaxed seat, always allowing the horse to feel the relaxation as he's riding. Not quite as square as it could be, but the rein back itself was really nice. The horse is staying lovely and uphill. Nice ground cover in the extended trot. And then nice and clear there into the passage transition. So you can see how the rhythm is clear now. Each hind leg is coming through. He just lost the rhythm there in the piaffe, but the quickness of the correction was within a stride again. And a little bit there, but you can just see this is a little bit the weakness of this horse at the moment. You know, it's a lot of strength to be able to come in and out of the passage, and when they become a little bit nervous, they then lose that a little bit. Yeah. So Carl's just helping him come through it, but you can just see how he's just losing the fluency going in and out of the transition.
And this horse being an 11-year-old, it's still what we'd class as quite a young horse in Grand Prix, isn't it? It's
a very, very young. You know, the horses take different times to get to the levels, and I think 11 is still very young for a Grand Prix, and he hasn't been out massively really with this horse. So the horse is still very green at competitions like this. You can see with his hands how Carl's saying, go to the contact. You can see the horse's eyes staring, and Carl's just giving him the confidence with the seat and the leg and the hand, just saying, no, it's okay. Everything's okay. I'm here with you. Super transition there. You can see the diagonal pairs there in the passage, which is super. Just losing a little bit rhythm in the piaffe. So he lost a little bit of rhythm in the piaffe, a little bit of energy, so then he didn't quite have the most fluent transition coming out. But the passage is really nice. They're coming into the Canter transition now. So yeah, very nice. You can see how Carl waited for the right hind to come through before he asked for the Canter transition. And I love this horse's canter. I think it's always really lovely uphill, looks very easy and relaxed. Nice ground cover in the twos here. The horse is going to the contact, so each change is forward, always landing forward. Always a forward stride. Yeah, super changes. You can see Carl here with the lower leg saying, come on, let's get ready now. We have the extended canter, asking for more power. Yeah, you can see how the horse came off the corner there, ready to go and run the Grand National if it needed to. Yeah, then the moment that Carl sits slightly heavy, the horse is back into a super collected canter for the flying change.
You can barely see what Carl's doing.
And that's what's so fantastic, that he's, you know, so relaxed and so easy with his age that the horses stay relaxed underneath him. There's no sudden jerky movements at all. You can see here he's just saying come sideways. He slightly moves the hands for the rein, so the neck changes, and then you have the flying change. Yep, super. Then you can see how he's shortening his reins here, picking the horse up a little bit more in front, ready for the one times. He wanted him a little bit relaxed for the zigzag, but now for the ones he needs a bit more energy. But once again with the hands, you can see Carl saying forward, forward. Every landing stride must be a stride forward. A little mistake there, you just saw how the horse changed behind, but within a stride, once again corrected. That shouldn't be taken out of the canter pirouette itself. And that was very nice. Just slightly lost the quarters there coming out onto the last stride, but the canter pirouette was really lovely. The balance here, making the horse wait, allowing the horse to sit behind. And that was much better. Then coming for the trot transition, keeping that lower leg on there, now pushing. And now he's pushing to the hand again. So hands forward and push. So the horse is always going to the contact, allowing the stride to come from the hind leg over the back into the contact. There's never ever a backward movement. It's always thinking forward. Good coming into the passage here. Now he's going to ask for a little bit more energy to have a little bit more in the piaffe. From this angle, the piaffe is looking really quite nice, looking straight, losing the quarters a little bit there, but straightened well.
How do you straighten up the quarters in the piaffe?
You have to just slightly put, if the quarters are going to the left, you slightly put the left leg back and hold the right rein, just so you leg yield. It's basically just a leg yield within the piaffe.
Really nice.
He should be really pleased with that. I mean, it was really lovely to watch, and there was just a couple of little things, but really, really super.
That was an 11-year-old at this level. I mean, that was a nice test.
Yeah, really super, really super. And it's a lot to ask for them again, so the fact that he went out there and did it, then that's really great.
There's a lot of people here. There's the illuminated arena boards. We're under lights here tonight.
Yeah, exactly. And I can imagine it's quite, I haven't been out there, but I can imagine it's quite loud out there as well.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So he should be really pleased with that. That was a really lovely test to watch.
Wow.
It's great to see how much the crowd love
Yeah, I was
Carl.
just about to say that. They love him. We've got a chance now to have a look at some of Carl's movements again.
It's nice to see how nice the relaxed the horse is there, with the ears forward.
So 70.90. Hayley Watson-Greaves, of course, leading the way at this stage. Great Britain out in front. We're going to be getting to see his scores in a second. Do you think he's done a little bit better than that? It's going to be close, isn't it?
I think it's going to be close, but I think Carl had a lot more precision between certain movements, and I think the preparation and I think Carl might have done it.
He might have done it. We'll get those scores in a second. Thinking about scores, again, out in Omaha, they had audience scoring, so you could download an app, and it was amazing how close the audience were with the judges.
Which is really great, because it just means that all the things that we do like this and all the live scoring really helps the people when they're watching.
Well, there's the scores then. For me, 75.4, 75.5 from H, C 75.1, M 72.9, B 74. But the most important thing, the total, 74.6. So Carl Hester heads straight up into the lead. And taking a look at how that changes things, Hayley Watson-Greaves second, and Wendy sitting down in third place. This one could be interesting by the looks of it.
Yes, this is Daniel Watson. The horse is quite hot. It's taken a little bit of time for Dan to get him up to this level and relaxing out there. This is actually Dan's 7th Nations Cup. He's at Compiègne next week competing with the same horse. But it's taken him a little bit of time, and you can see now as you're trotting him around how hot the horse is. But if the horse is on form, then he has a great test.
Well, he's had some great tests in the past for this horse. He was second in the Grand Prix at Kiso. It's called Amadeus. 12 years old, this horse. Don't you find that all the good horses are quite hot?
They have to be. They have to have that energy, and it's always that 50-50% chance if you're going to get through the test or not. Because when you do get through the test, it's a good test.
To have that expression, you need that kind of.
They need to be constantly on edge and really hot, and that's how they do. That's how they have so much expression and height within the movements they do when they're out there. So you can just see that Dan didn't want to take his hands off the reins a little bit there. You can just see the horse is a little bit hot, so he's just playing a little bit safe.
I think he's got a concentration look as well.
Yes, definitely. You can see how hot the horse is, but if you can just get it back together with him, then it still will be good.
Yeah.
Good, nice height there through the shoulder into the extended trot. You can just see he's just starting to bend the horse a little bit now already for the half pass. It's just so he's not looking at anything else, so he won't spook. And that's what's so important about the riders. They've got to make sure that they are one step in front of the horse. If the horse is spooked, you're too late.
You're too late.
So it's really important that you are there one step ahead of them, catching them just before you do it. So you'll watch, hopefully, when Dan comes around the bottom here after this half pass, that he starts bending the horse already, so he doesn't spook as he comes around the bottom. Yeah, he's got the bend in there. You can see with the right hand there, he's just saying, nope, stay with me. Make him a little bit rounder there. 4, 5 steps.
It's early days in this test, but from the way the horse came in to the way it's going now, I mean, this is a completely different horse.
You do find that actually a lot with the horses. When they go around the outside of the arena, they can be quite tense and quite spooky. But once they're inside the boards, A, they feel a little bit safer because they know they're inside the boards, but B, they know their job.
Yeah.
So they usually do relax, hopefully quite often, when you're inside.
And hopefully quite quickly.
Yes, which we can see here. So we just need a little bit more diagonal pairs there in the piaffe. But he kept stepping and the rhythm was still there, so still good, and came out into the passage well. Good transition into the extended walk. The extended walk is a little bit too quick. He just looks like he's on a little bit of a race. But at the moment, Dan doesn't have too much adjustability out there. If he asks for the horse to slow down too much, then he could have a mistake. You can just see how he's playing with the reins here, just to remind the horse that he's supposed to stay with him and not look anywhere else. Then he'll sit very quietly, relaxing the horse, getting ready for the passage transition here. You can just see the right leg coming on now. Yeah, a little rhythm mistake in the passage transition, but it's come well into the passage now. Nice height in front there. He's just reminding him with the legs. He's just spooking a little bit, so he's just keeping that leg on. He rode that very well. That could have gone not so well, so that was very well ridden. He's going to quickly bend him left now. A little bit expensive there in the passage because the horse is spooking, so we would definitely say lost rhythm there.
Yeah, exactly. But he manages to get it back so quickly.
He does, but once again, that goes down to partnership.
Yeah.
When you know a horse so well, you know really quickly how to work them. You can see here in the canter how he's saying a little bit in the neck, just keeping the neck soft, just so the horse doesn't lock on. If you can keep the neck soft, then usually you can be okay. If they lock on, then that's when we have the problems. But this horse is usually quite good in the canter. He really settles down quite quickly. He's always got a slight inside bend coming down that short side, just so he doesn't let the horse get away with him. Good extended canter. It could have been a little bit more, but then once again, I think he's being a little bit careful, which I think is the right thing to do out there.
You wouldn't really want to put your leg on, would you?
You really wouldn't. I think you would keep going into the crowd at this point.
Into the royal box.
The best thing about the zigzag as well, it really helps you get the leg on.
Yeah.
So you're able to put your leg on a little bit more on the horses, but also they're having to stay collected within the movement. So it just gives you a little bit more of a chance to get them listening to you a little bit more.
Refocus.
Yes, exactly. Now let's see how these ones go. Fingers crossed, everybody. Okay, so you can see there that he's got the mistakes. The horse isn't quite on the aid, so then he has the mistakes. So a little bit, because the horse is a little bit spooky, and then off the leg, when Dan put his leg on, nothing happened.
Yeah.
But you can see there that he then got 5 or 6 ones there. So, you know, in the end, he still got the horse to do it, so it was a learning curve for the horse.
Does there ever come a point in the test where you start to think of more of it as a sort of schooling exercise almost? You know, you'll take that little extra risk or make the extra correction because you know that it's not going to be good enough to make the, you know, the sort of top few.
I think you have a decision when you come in knowing what type of competition you're at and why you're at the competition, but also if you've had about 2 mistakes that are quite expensive, I think you think, right, okay, now I'm coming in here to train and I'm giving him a good ride, but we're going to get through this and he's going to learn not to do it again.
Not to do it, yeah.
I think you get quite realistic out there as well. But I mean, Dan's doing a fantastic job out there. It's incredibly hot, but he's keeping it together very well. And sometimes it's a little bit easier being in the Grand Prix when they're hot than when you're doing a lower level, because there's not so much in the test to help you.
Sure.
Good, you can see now he's just able to put his leg on a little bit more. Sadly, it's at the end of the test, but he's just able to put his leg on a little bit more now. And now you can see that there's the real height that we've been looking for in that passage that we wanted a little bit earlier.
But if the horse comes out better than it went in, that's a good thing.
It is a good thing. It's just he'll probably wishes he could halt and then carry on the test again.
Yeah.
And then he would have it right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've done the warm. Now, please may I do that again? And I think he would have had it. But you can see now he's got his lower leg on and the horse itself is better. So, I mean, Dan will be a little bit upset by this because I know him. But at the same time, I think he'll be pleased that the ending was what the whole test can be is at some point. But I think he rode that very, very well. The horse was nervous, and I mean now you can see the horse is walking out a little bit more relaxed. So really, that's when this happens to you, that's kind of the end result you want.
Yeah.
So you know when the horse comes in next time. So if he's in the music tomorrow, he might have a little bit more of a relaxed test.
Sure. So a quick recap then. Carl Hester leading, Hayley Watson-Greaves in second, Wendy Williamson in third place. So it's Great Britain first and second, New Zealand in third. And we get a chance now to see a few replays as well from Daniel.
We can see the scores a little bit coming up now.
Yeah, they're starting to come in, and we'll have them all on the screen in just a second. But there was some really nice work in that test.
Yeah, the twos were really smart. I mean, the passage down on the last centre line was really lovely. He did well in the canter zigzag. So you know the horse has the ability to do it out there. It did it in the last centre line. So once he grows a little bit more confident in, you know, in atmospheres like this, then it won't be much of a problem.
Well, hopefully those scores will come in. 74.60 leads the way, and a few still left to go here this evening. Gareth Hughes still to come from Great Britain. We've got one from France and one for Italy still to feature here this evening. He just looks a little bit disappointed there as he heads out.
Yeah, we'll have to have a glass of Prosecco later to cheer him up, I think.
One or two.
I'll just give him a bottle and a straw and we'll be all good for tomorrow.
One each, or?
He can have it for tonight.
Okay.
I'll allow him to have it tonight.
Tomorrow for you?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Well, those scores are in, and it's 63.1 from E, 61.1 from H, a 59 from C, 62.7 from M, and 59.6 from B. So 61.10 is the score there.
So you can just see that the score isn't as high as what it has been with the others, but then when you watch the test, you can see that the mistakes are expensive, and you just can't make them out there.
No, you can't. You can't. And there they are on the screen. They are confirmed, and he is into 9th place. Right, we continue then. We're off to France now. Brian Ligard comes forward with Star Wars. This is by a stallion called Showstar.
Such a fantastic name, I think, for a horse.
Yes, it is, isn't it? You expect the music to be on, though.
Well, we never know tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. A couple of great wins already this year in Mallorca with this horse. And you know, it's interesting in show jumping, to be in the sort of top 100, you've got to have a string of horses, and that string of horses has got to be at the top level and out every single week. This is the only horse he rides internationally, and I think he's about 97 or 98 in the world.
I think when it comes to dressage, it's a little bit different than show jumping. You kind of have to have that one bond with that one horse, and if you have that strong bond, it becomes your favourite horse and you work well together. Every Grand Prix rider hopes to have more than one Grand Prix horse, but as you know, it takes so long to get the horses up to that level, and to have the talent. It's not easy to find horses with enough talent to be able to be Grand Prix. So if you've got one, you're lucky. If you've got two, then you're very, very lucky. So it really is, as a rider, you just look after the one that you have and work together with it. So it's a nice uphill trot here, nice balance in the contact, nice quiet mouth. Could just be a little bit parallel there. You can just see how the quarters are trailing slightly. It just needs to be bent a little bit more around the inside leg. This half pass is better to the left, so the left half pass is a little bit stronger than the right.
You often find that, don't you?
You do. It's the same as us. We're either left-handed or right-handed, and the horses are exactly the same. They have an easier rein than the other.
Someone once told me that the easier rein is the side they have lain on in the womb.
That could be.
I
could have learned something today.
Possibly. You can have that one.
We'll go with that.
Yeah,
we'll go with that.
Sounds so good.
It does sound really good. I'm impressed. Good. He's just getting a little bit round there in the extended. You can just see how he's just dropping a little bit. He's coming up again now in the height. Yeah, you can see some very nice height there in the shoulder. Super expression in the passage. Could just be a little bit more active behind there. Good steps in the piaffe. He could have had a couple of more steps, but the steps were good. It's a very nice passage, this horse. It's very comfortable within the passage. Lovely to see when he gave the rein, the horse took the contact straight away, forward and out, which is great to see.
That can be quite difficult to train as well, to get the horse to sort of push that nose out a little bit.
It can be, if you think all the muscles have to contract ready for the piaffe and the passage, and then all of a sudden you're asking them to become long and relaxed for an extended walk. It's very hard for the horse to do anyway, more like trying to get them to relax in an environment like this. You can see how he's just got his hands nice and low on the neck, nice and quiet. No fast movements. The horses are so ready and so alert. Anything too quick and they're there, they're moving with you. Very nice passage transition. You can see that they're both very comfortable in the passage. I think they enjoy this bit. Could just be a little bit quicker behind there coming into the piaffe. It's very good in front, super steps in front.
Yeah.
You can just see how he's bending the right hind a little bit more and stepping back on the left hind. That's just a balance thing. He could just be a little bit stronger in the right rein, but then again that goes back to having the left half pass better than the right. So we'll say that he's left-handed and not right-handed. Just watching him going to the canter here. Could just be a little bit more uphill and out in the neck. Keeping the straightness in the twos. You can just see when he does the flying change to the right, that his to the left, sorry, his quarters swing slightly to the left. He's a little bit straight to the right, but the changes were clear. So not all judges can see that they're not 100% straight, so he'll have higher marks from some judges than the other. It's just the visibility. He just loses a little bit of the height in the neck and in the pole, in the canter. In the trot, he had that a little bit more. Just could do with a little bit more ground cover, a little bit more uphill. Good, just quarters leading a little bit there, just needs a little bit more activity in the canter. You can just see how he's just dropping down a little bit there, so the rider's having to work a little bit hard just to get his nose back up. So he just had a mistake there in the one time. And it's just thinking a little bit that the horse is thinking a little bit more backwards and not truly right in front and up in the shoulder and up in the wither. And then you're more likely to have mistakes because they're just sat behind you a little bit. Nice sitting there in the canter pirouette. Just lost the quarters a little bit there, but well corrected. A little bit short there in the change, but I think that was where he just lost the quarters.
Yeah.
Just needs a little bit more inside bend. He just had the balance a little bit more on the left hind than the right hind there. So he was pushing out instead of sitting under in the canter pirouette. So he just lost the rhythm once again there. And then you can see how he comes back up again a little bit more in the trot. So I think he finds, naturally, the horse finds the trot a little bit easier than he does the canter.
Yeah.
Which is perfectly normal.
And most horses do have one pace, don't they, that they prefer?
They do,
Or they excel at.
and a lot of them really actually prefer the canter. So when they prefer the trot, it's really quite nice. Just getting him ready to come into the passage here, make him a little bit quicker off the leg, just so you have a little bit more height, a little bit more hotness. That's good. Could be thinking a little bit more forward in the piaffe, but the steps are good. And then very nice coming out there. Really lovely passage there.
Really good height, front and back.
Yeah. You can just see there in the last halt how the horse was thinking, I'm going to stop now. So he just
Any
lost a
minute now.
little bit in impulsion, but he should be really pleased with that. I mean, there was some lovely passage work. I think the Canter could have had a little bit more activity, but still very nice test.
You can see there, Benfrad's wearing a top hat. Are you a top hat girl?
I am sponsored by Sam Shield, so I actually wear a Sam Shield, but my mum does like me in a top hat. So
Okay.
we do a deal as if I get into the freestyle, I'll wear the top
You wear
hat.
the top hat.
So it still looks very classical. I think it's a beautiful image to be wearing the top hat, so I do miss wearing it all the time.
I suppose a little bit it depends on the horse you're on as well sometimes.
Exactly, if you don't feel 100% safe, a strapped hat is always a nicer feeling. I think sometimes it's getting in a fast car without your seatbelt on.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we've got two great riders left to go. Gareth Hughes for Great Britain, and Silvia Rizzo for Italy as well. Two left to go. Have we seen our winner yet?
I don't see, you keep asking me these questions. I don't know. I mean, it could be a tight one. Gareth can do a really beautiful test as well, so it will be interesting to see. But I mean, 74 is a strong, percentage.
I think Carl will be planning that horse going to Tokyo as well.
Yeah. I think it's quite exciting now, actually, seeing all the horses coming up and getting ready for Tokyo.
Yeah, it's a great field here in the show jumping as well. We've got #1 in the world, and in dressage I think we've got 2 or 3 or 4 maybe that have been represented their country at Olympic level already, and some great horses coming up. So exciting times really in the world of dressage.
Really exciting. I mean, who knows what's going to happen at in Tokyo, sorry. I mean, it's wide open at the moment.
Maybe you'll be there.
Fingers crossed. Maybe. One day. Hope.
Well, final score just waiting to come in there.
Oh, you can just see Gareth having a little bit of an issue here. There must be something in that corner because they all keep looking at it. I think it's the reflections of the light up there, the blue.
Yeah,
the
quite
screen.
possibly. The screen, they see themselves coming in. And
There's just, I don't know, you can see it, but there's just a glass where the blue screen is just reflecting off it, and I think the horses are just catching that out the corner of their eye as they come in.
And there's not that many shows, I think we mentioned that before, that you can go to and get them used to that sort of thing, with big screens. And
There isn't really, and not really many in England.
No,
So
exactly.
you have to go to Europe, and going to the big competitions in Europe, you really would like your horse to be on form. So
Yeah.
it's a little bit of a difficult one, gaining experience for them, but at the same time going out there to win it.
Are there many circuits in the world of dressage where you can go maybe do 5 or 6 weeks at the same venue?
Yes, I mean, you've got one called the Sunshine Tour. I've not personally done it, but there is a Sunshine Tour where I think it's at 1 or 2 of the same venues for, I think it's about a month to 6 weeks.
And that's great for young horses, isn't it, to get that amount of experience so quickly?
It's
like
brilliant.
Fast track.
It is literally, and you do find they do come back grown up all of a sudden. And I think when you take horses to these type of shows, they really grow up. The next time you take them out, they are completely different. You can just see Gareth here just trying to get him to relax a little bit around the arena. He's just a little bit tense. Just letting him see everything and knowing it's all okay.
He's probably quite appreciating this time because the horse is going so much better than when he came in and had that little spook.
And this is what we were saying earlier. Do we like the bell being rang quickly?
Yeah.
I think it depends on the horse that you're on. And for example, today, I think Gareth is very pleased. They've taken a while to ring the bell.
Still waiting for that final score in from Stephen Clark. Let's see, the scores up there on the leaderboard actually with Carl Hester at the top, but we're getting underway with Gareth Hughes and Don Carissimo by Don Crusader, this one, another 12-year-old gelding. He classes Stephen Clark as his first dressage mentor. I think so many do, don't they? I mean, he
They
kind of
really
paved the
do.
way, really.
They really do. He's really somebody to look up to. Good, coming into the extended trot now. Nice and uphill. You can just see Gareth that's encouraging him to push him forward. That's a nice picture there, just coming nice. Oh, he just spooked a little bit there, but
Saw
Gareth
something.
did well with a
Yeah.
little bit of leg just to say up. And you can see the nice amount of bend here. See the wind picking up a
Yeah,
little
it
bit
is
out
picking
there.
up a
I
little
bet Gareth is not 100% pleased about this. So you can see this horse actually half past better right than he did left.
Yep.
So he's a little bit tied to here on the left. You can just see, look at his eyes, not happy going towards the judges' boxes here. So Gareth will have to be very careful coming into this halt.
I think the drawn orders tonight's been quite important as well, because now it's getting dark, we're under lights, and those illuminated arena boards really start to kind of ping out at the horses.
It really does make a difference when you are out in daylight than when these lights are on. I mean, we can see so many more reflections out there already, a lot more shadows, and it's a lot more for the horse to have to deal with.
Do you like an early draw or a late draw? What's your preference?
I think waiting for a late draw sometimes is a little bit difficult, but I do like being towards the end of the class.
You get your chance to watch, and
You get to watch, you get to see who you're competing against. It gets you to get a little bit of a gist of the atmosphere, the arena, what exactly is going on, what's spooking other horses, so that you
Yeah.
can make sure your horse doesn't spook. That was a very nice piaffe there, and a really nice transition into the passage. Nice rhythm in the passage, nice and relaxed. And you can see here how Gareth is going to be very careful in the walk. The horse is a little bit spooky, so he's just going to make sure that you can just see there he's tickling the wither, just to say, hey, it's okay, stay relaxed. He's just looking up a little bit here. This could be a little bit. Oh, see how it goes. If Gareth can keep the relaxation, you can just see the horse is getting a little bit tense here, which could be a little bit difficult coming into the collective walk. You can just see he's just there with the outside rein there, just teasing the mouth a little bit, saying, look, it's okay, I'm still here. Good, he just lost the quarters a little bit to the inside there, but the steps were good, so I think he'll be pleased with that transition. You can just see he didn't quite have enough activity in the passage there, so the transition to the piaffe wasn't perfect, but you can see the steps in the piaffe now are very good there, and the transition was much better coming out. I think the horse is just starting to take a little bit of a breather now. Good, he's just patting him, saying it's okay, well done, you did well in the canter transition. He's just keeping that inside rein there, just to keep the horse slightly looking to the inside, just so something on the outside of the arena doesn't catch his eye. Now he's really going to have to carefully ride these twos as it's going towards the corner that the horse is seeing to find a little bit spooky, so you can see now that the horse's ears have gone straight forward. He's lifted his head up a little bit.
sort of backing off a little bit.
Yeah, so Gareth did very well to ride them, to keep thinking forward. Good. You can just see now how the hind legs are separating a little bit wider now. The horse is relaxing more into the contact and going more over the back. Very nice there, well collected coming into the flying change. Preparing now for the zigzag. Could be a little bit more parallel. Good, so you can see again here the half pass to the right is a little bit better than the half pass to the left, the same as it was when it was in the trot. But that was a very nice zigzag. Nice ground cover in the individual changes as well.
What's the technical term for a zigzag?
Technical term for the zigzag. We always just say zigzag.
Just zigzag.
That's
That is it. That's
cross
it.
changes of half pass, counter changes of half pass.
Ah,
Yeah.
there we go. I knew there'd be one.
But we just call this. I had to think then. Pause. What do we call it? So you made me miss the ones. I was
sorry.
talking that time through them though.
Yeah, you were. It's the only time you're not counting. It was perfect. It was lovely. I was counting.
You can just see how he's saying, come on, bend a little bit more left here. The horse struggles a little bit more on the left rein, so you can just see how he was just really sitting there. I would say a little bit over-sitting. So Gareth had to be a little bit careful and just keep thinking forward. You can see how much easier the right bend is to come here.
Yeah.
And then you can see it's just easier for the horse to turn onto the right. And then that was a really lovely canter
Really
pirouette.
fluid.
Nice transition into the trot there. You can see the horse has now really started to to relax and start to enjoy himself, I think, a little bit out there. Now Gareth will be asking for a little bit more now coming into the passage here. Make sure he keeps thinking forward, coming down the centre line, that he doesn't think he's stopping just yet. It's quite a difficult one when you come into the Piaffe at X, because a lot of the tests before Grand Prix you have to stop at X.
Yeah.
So you have to really train the horse to keep stepping, to keep thinking Piaffe and not to stop. Very nice passage there. Keeping his leg on, coming into the halt. And a super halt. He should be very, very pleased with that. The horse did very well to relax towards the end after being a little bit nervous. He came in. And there were some really super bits there. Super passage, some really super canter work, super changes. So it'd be interesting to see what his mark is.
Yeah, really nice 12-year-old.
And once again, it's still a young horse for Grand Prix at this level.
Definitely. Marks are in for our previous rider as well. It was Bertrand Lagarde, and he finished with 68.60, so heads into 6th place. That was fair. Did you get that one right?
Yeah,
I got it right.
Yeah, we got that one right. That was a good score.
Well, let's have a look at some of the replays here.
I think it'd be a little bit difficult for Gareth to come into the lead because he had a little bit of tension. If you remember watching Carl's test, everything was so relaxed. Some bits were maybe a little bit too relaxed, which I think the judges prefer a lot more than when they see the tension with the horse a little bit, when the horse comes too high and drops the back and becomes a little bit too tight. So I don't know if he's exactly done enough to pop Carl off.
And that's just kind of time and experience and a bit of luck as well, isn't it?
It is luck on the day. It is luck on the day. You know, you can train your horse and it could be beautiful at home and it could do a fantastic Grand Prix test, but you just don't know how they react out there. They are animals. They do have their own brain. So,
do you ever ride the Grand Prix test at home?
Yes, I do. You must. I mean, you don't must, but I think it's really important to ride the Grand Prix before you come to a competition like this to ride it. I think that all of these riders would have gone to a trainer, had a lot of training with the trainers, and they would have run through the test. Some horses you actually plat up and make them think it's a competition, so that they're able to grow confidence at home before you bring them to a competition like this. So it's very important that you do ride the Grand Prix because it's a lot to keep together. It's a lot for the horse to do, but at the same time, you'll add a lot of these movements into your daily work.
Sure.
So they will always be at some point running through the Grand Prix at some point in the day.
It's never a surprise to them when these movements come.
And it can't be. It cannot be a surprise when they're out there in a test like this. There's just too much for them to do, and they must learn. They must learn the aids for each movement, and it's very important that you do ride through it and keep them interested and learning the new aids all the time and on the mark.
Well, we're just waiting for that final rider and also for the score as well for Gareth Hughes. I think Gareth should make top 3 though.
I would like to think so. But I just think that 74% is really quite a hard one to beat.
Well, the wind came. And now the rain's
And now the rain is here. Welcome to Windsor.
Welcome to Windsor. It's been bizarre. The first 2 days when we were here before the show started, it was absolutely freezing. Everybody got burnt yesterday, and now it's chucking
I've been
it down.
seeing a lot of red people around, actually.
Exactly.
They're slightly rosy.
It's the winter tan. So this is Silvia Rizzo and Sal last to go. This is an 18-year-old stallion by Mississippi.
Very positive entrance when she came in there. She was really telling the judges that to give her the marks.
She spent a lot of her riding career eventing. Another one that's turned to the dark side.
Come to the dressage. You can just see he came through the corner nice and uphill, but he just lost the balance in front there and got a little bit too deep in that extended trot.
Why do you love dressage?
I love the difficulty of dressage. I think that you have to be so precise and have a lot of control. I like control.
Okay.
And I think when you're in the dressage, you have so much more precision with every movement, and you have to have a real partnership with you and your horse. And it's really great, I think, to be a part of it. It's such a fantastic sport, and that's why I love it.
So you're a control freak?
Yes, as you say it like that. I may slightly, working on it, be a control freak.
Okay.
But I think everybody that's a dressage rider is a control freak and a perfectionist.
Yeah.
Because that's the whole point of the sport. You have to be a perfectionist, and you have to always want to be in control of the situation.
Yeah.
Because you're riding a horse out there, so you've got to be.
And everything you do, you're riding for a 10.
Yes.
Okay.
you can see that this extended trot is a little bit better. He's staying much more uphill, which is great. Could have a little bit more energy in the passage, but you can see now the horse is becoming a little bit more comfortable out there. To keep the activity in the piaffe. Just lost a little bit. You can just see that, yeah, just spooked a little bit, lost rhythm. I think she's telling someone to stop moving. Going into the passage again. So she did very well to get that passage movement, because she could have lost that a little bit there from the piaffe. But you can see that 99% of the horses that have come out here have been a little bit scared, a little bit spooky, and it really shows how much an atmosphere can make a difference out there.
Yeah. He's a chunky monkey, this one.
He is a chunky monkey. He's beautiful.
His neck looks solid.
And now he's stopping to have a poo tipple.
It's lighten the load.
Good. Just getting a little bit tense there. She's picking him up into the extended walk. She hasn't quite got the, you can't see too well here, but she hasn't quite got the clearest collective walk. The horse just jogged a couple of strides, so that's going to be very expensive. And the collective walk is once again double marks.
Double trouble.
You can just see how he's not coming through just as much as with the right hind as he is the left hind, so therefore he's getting a little bit stuck here in the piaffe. He didn't have enough energy coming from behind. So
How can you help that? How can you fix that?
I think it's a lot of training at home. You know, I think it's a lot of piaffe and passage in leg yield, a lot of lateral movement, so they have to actually bring the hind leg underneath them to create themselves to become stronger.
Okay.
The canter is nice and uphill. Oh, just late behind there. And again, so you can just see he's not coming quite as through with the right hind as he is the left hind, so they're a little bit short.
Just lost the rhythm at the start there.
See, look at you using rhythm.
I know,
You've got it
rhythm.
now, haven't you?
Can't spell it. No one can.
Anyway, right, you can see... No, you can just see a little bit there how he's a little bit short in the changes. It'll be interesting to see how he comes through the ones.
Yeah.
Yep, she did well in the change there. She just pushed him into a little bit of a leg yield to the right, so he had to bring that left hind through. You can just see he's losing a little bit of energy here into the zigzag. There's not quite as much expression as what we've been seeing in the last couple of tests.
I think that's another movement as well. If you don't have the energy coming in, it's very hard to create it mid-movement.
That's it. You know, it's almost impossible. So you have to, and that's why we all say preparation, because if you don't have it, then it's too late when you're in the movement. So here comes the ones. Yeah, you can see that it's a little bit difficult in the ones there. So he's coming a little bit croup high, which means then that the changes can be a little bit short behind. They weren't exactly clear, so that would be expensive. Now she's got to relax him again and tell him it's okay coming into the canter pirouettes here. So she's just going quarters leading a little bit there. She just needed to take the shoulder. Yeah, he just needed to be a little bit quicker behind. He's not quite bending through the body enough. So he just lost a little bit of rhythm coming out. Yeah, the right pirouette. Yeah, the right pirouette was better. It's nice to see that she keeps giving with the rein, so she keeps giving the contact to him, which is nice to see. Just losing a little bit of rhythm there in the extended trot, but she's done well to bring him back a little bit here. Coming down with the passage a little bit now. Good. I think he knew the piaffe was coming a little bit before she was ready there. You can just see how he's just going against the left leg there, and that would be a little bit why he was a little bit late in the changes.
So would you just bend him a little bit more left there, put a bit of left leg on? And
yeah, I mean, it's a little bit difficult when they go against the leg, especially when you're in a test situation, so you just probably would like to just use a little bit more left rein than you would left leg. But bless her, I think she's over the moon with that.
Yeah.
And that's great to see.
It's nice to see.
Yeah, it's great to see a rider coming out smiling and happy. You know, it's fantastic.
We'll have a look at our scores in a second, but I've got a feeling that Grandad's done it.
I think he's done it.
Yeah.
And he deserved it. I think that everything's in the right order today.
Yeah, that's a lovely horse Carl Hester's got. He sits on 74.60, and we await that final score and, of course, the leaderboards as well. Some really nice horses tonight, and looking forward to the freestyle tomorrow.
I can't wait. I'm really excited. I think there's some super horses from the future. I think it's really exciting.
With the freestyle, because you're young and funky, do you go for young and funky music?
I actually am a bit of a classic.
Oh, are you?
I do. I do like the classic. I actually really like the classic Disney movies.
Oh, okay.
And all that kind of thing. I think it's really important that when you do a freestyle that the judges know the music.
Yeah.
If it's a little bit too modern, I think they get a little bit lost with it.
So no Lady Gaga or
no Katy Perry, sadly. I could do a bit of an Ed Sheeran one though. I quite like a bit of an Ed Sheeran, but I think with the judges, they like something that they can follow easily, something that they may know.
Yeah.
So subconsciously they know it, they know what's happening in the music. And I think if it's too upbeat and too modern, the judges get a little bit sort of step back by it.
And probably something that won't distract them either.
Yeah, exactly. If it's too much bass and there's a little bit too much all that jazz, I think it's a little bit difficult for the judge to be able to concentrate on the rhythm. It's really important the music follows the rhythm of the horse. So if there's so much beat in the background, so much bass, it's difficult for the judge to actually focus on what the horse is doing because the rhythm's actually taking effect.
Yeah, definitely. And I think in the older days, but up until quite recently, you weren't allowed to have words in the music. Is that something you still try and avoid?
I mean, I do. I think that some bits are really good. I think sometimes it's a little bit off-putting when the whole freestyle is full of the music. I think the whole point of the freestyle is to have something beautiful with your horse. I think having too many words in there interrupts that.
Sure. It does interrupt the rhythm. Well, leaderboard as it stands. Carl Hester leads for Great Britain. It is Hayley Watson-Greaves for Great Britain in second. Wendy Williamson in third. Richard Davison sitting in fourth with Lara Butler in fifth. And Bertrand Leigard sitting in sixth. Do you think our top six are going to change, or do you think that's set in stone?
I think that's set in stone.
You think that's set?
It could, but I think it's set in stone.
Yeah, it could, but I think you're right. Well, the scores are starting to come in. For B, we had 55.7. From M, 59.6. From C, 57. From H, 59.30. And just awaiting Stephen Clark's mark, who's based at E. So final scores will be up. And of course some great international sports still to enjoy throughout the weekend here at Royal Windsor Horse Show. The Freestyle Grand Prix tomorrow night, that's to music. And then as the weekend progresses, it turns to show jumping with some of the very best riders in the world, including Kent Farrington, who sits as world #1 at the moment, competing here throughout the weekend. He won the Grand Prix here last year, and he's back to defend the title with a now 5-star Grand Prix, the Rolex Grand Prix, on Sunday. And of course you can catch all the action live streams on the Royal Windsor Horse Show website, on the USEF network across the United States, and the Rolex Grand Prix will feature on Sky Sports very soon as well. So lots of coverage still to come here at the Royal Windsor Horse Show, and we're awaiting for that final mark. And then I think we've got the presentation to come as well, and it's not something you do a lot in dressage, just have arena presentations, perhaps more at the higher levels.
Yeah, it is a little bit more at the high levels. Depending on the competition, is depending how many can come in. Usually they have the top 3 that walk in on the horses, and then from 4th place to 10th place they trot round the outside. But we don't have it so much for the lower levels. It's more at the bigger the competition, the bigger the prize giving.
Well, in fact, down in the warm-up is our winner, Carl Hester, and he is with Charlotte.
I'm here with Carl Hester. Congratulations. Your first ever Grand Prix with Barolo, and you win it, and a very convincing win at that.
Well, I did. I was either being brave or being stupid coming here. I suddenly had a minor panic in the stables, before, and I was like, oh, this is a bit crazy. I've decided to pick Windsor as a first show. I could have gone and done a national one. just to have a feel what he was like, because he's been a little bit complicated, to like get confident and get going. He's the sweetest, nicest horse in the world. I mean, Alan said he's just like a dream in the stables at a show. He's a teddy bear, and I know his insecurities are basically just because he's looking. And this is quite a looky show. You can see a lot of horses in the bright lights going in there, getting a bit of a fright. But I'm delighted with him. I mean, it was a good score, and I mean, there's plenty more to get yet. I mean, his early days, he's a young Grand Prix horse, and obviously, my first show on him. So I'm looking forward to doing the next ones now. I'll go there with a bit more confidence, I think.
Fantastic. And interesting to hear you suffering from nerves. I kind of just don't imagine that happens to you.
Do you know what, though? I can honestly say, like, in the early days, and, I'm 5 Olympics later now, but I remember the early Olympics and things, loving every minute of it, never worrying, never being nervous. And it gets worse the older you get.
Really? Don't tell me that, no.
It does get worse, because I think expectations are higher. I think that's probably what it is. In the early days, you don't expect. And I spent so long bumbling around at the bottom, trying to find my way up to the top, that actually it didn't really matter in those days, where of course it matters now.
And there is, I think you go into the arena and you can sense everyone's like, oh, Carl Hester's in. And that must be quite nerve-wracking.
I mean, most people are lovely, and they give you a nice reception and all that stuff. But you also know that they're also waiting for that mistake, and then.
I don't think they're waiting for a mistake. I think, but they don't expect the mistake.
The crowd is a lot more knowledgeable nowadays, certainly, because you will hear, when you make a mistake. I might know I've made a mistake, but I can also hear the crowd go, oh, or gasp or something. So people actually know what's going on. They're not just sitting there, just like, oh, it all looks lovely. They actually see the technical side of it now, which is quite interesting.
Yes. And got one more quick question before I know you got to go to the prize giving. Charlotte was bringing Borello on. So how did that happen? How did you nick the ride off her?
I think she's nicked enough rides off me. I think Vallegro being the obvious one, and I give her Utopia, to ride as well. And, we have that sort of relationship, and that's why it's brilliant. That's why I love working with Charlotte, and I think we're so good together, because we ride each other's horses. And sometimes, it takes another rider to bring out something that rider didn't. And Charlotte struggled a little bit with him last year and said, because she's so used to horses that go, and he needs coaxing, and confidence.
She likes the hot ones, doesn't she?
She does. Those are her type of horses, and she's brilliant on them. And I also like that type of horse, but I also understand that a horse like this needs nursing a little bit, to get going. I ride him mostly in the field at home. I do all his schooling in the field. He loves open spaces. It's given him like this, new lease of life, really. He's really starting to enjoy the work, and it just works. And I mean, we don't have any like jealousy about, I mean, she'd be thrilled for me. I know she will be. And, and she's done a lot of the work. We've done him together since he was 6 years old. And it's just great to get another horse up to this level and enjoy it. He's been a star.
Well, we look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. Good luck in that, and congratulations today. Thank you
much.
so much, Carl.
Thank
Cheers.
you.
Go and get your prize. Thank you. Cheers. Thank you.